Georgie? What a nice boat. Do you want it back?
Yes, please.
You look like a nice boy. Do you want a balloon too, Georgie?
I'm not supposed to take stuff from strangers.
Oh, well, I'm Pennywise the dancing clown. Now we aren't strangers, are we?
I should get going now.
Oh, without your boat? Here. Take it.
Quiet on the set!
This is Michael Faulkner, and it is showtime at the September 5th, 2017 edition of the Weekly Podioplex. Brought to you on the Chronic Riff Network. We're back, and we're free of con crud. For now, anyway. This week's birthdays include Green Power Ranger Jason David Frank, voice actors Julie Kavner and John DiMaggio, Max Greenfield from Veronica Mars, Batman, Birdman, and Vulture Michael Keaton, screen legend Raquel Welch, Idris Elba from BBC's Luther, Evan Rachel Wood from Westworld, Jonathan Taylor Thomas from Home Improvement, and Michelle Williams from Dawson's Creek. Starting with the box office report, it was a hard end to a difficult summer. At number 10 is Girls Trip, up 1 from 11th. At number 9 is The Emoji Movie, up 1 from 10th. At 8 is Despicable Me 3, up 5 from 13th. In 7th is Spider-Man Homecoming, holding position from last week. And finishing up this week's bottom 5 is Dunkirk, also holding steady from last week. The top 5 this week begin with Logan Lucky, holding on to 5th from last week with $4.4 million and a total of $21.4 million. In 4th place is Leap, down 1 from 3rd with $4.8 million, adds to a total of $11.3 million. In 3rd place is Wind River, up 1 from 4th with $6.2 million and a total of $18.7 million. In 2nd is Annabelle Creation, holding on to silver with $7.5 million and a total of $89.2 million. And in 1st is The Hitman's Bodyguard, keeping the crown for a 3rd week with $10.5 million and a total of $55.2 million. So, where exactly are all the new releases? Well, Tulip Fever disappointed on a massive scale with $1.2 million over 3 days and $1.4 million over 4, as it barely made 24th place. Marvel's Inhumans picked up $1.5 million in 18th place, but don't expect any miracles with a 0% critical reception. And not even re-releases of Wonder Woman or Close Encounters of the Third Kind could break into the top 10. With that, the Labor Day weekend provided the worst performance for the holiday in the last 17 years. Seriously, the last time things were this bad for Labor Day weekend was when Highlander Endgame was new in theaters. So, considering all of that, let's close out the box office report where the look was winning in years gone by. 5 years ago in 2012, The Possession took number 1 for a second and final week with $9.3 million. 10 years ago in 2007, 3:10 to Yuma won the weekend with $14 million. 20 years ago in 1997, Fire Down Below was the winner with $6.1 million. 30 years ago in 1987, Stakeout took the title for a 4th week with $7.1 million. And 40 years ago, in 1977, Star Wars won the box office crown with $5.6 million, reclaiming the title after 15 weeks of release. The box office premieres for September 8th are a mix of horror and comedy. This week's headliner is It, a horror drama starring Bill Skarsgård, Jaden Lieberher, and Finn Wolfhard.
Look, everywhere it happens, it's all connected by the sewers. And they all meet up at the house on Nebel Street.
Source of the clown. I'm not doing this!
What the hell? Put the map back. What happened?
A group of bullied kids band together when a monster, taking the appearance of a clown, begins hunting children. It is rated R. The other wide release this week is Home Again, a romantic comedy starring Nat Wolff, Reese Witherspoon, and Lake Bell.
Hi.
How you doing tonight?
Me?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm doing great. Thank you for asking.
So I'd like to offer to buy your drinks, but
Really?
I think the bartender is slightly under the impression that I'm taking her home tonight.
Oh, but you're not.
No, I'm not.
And why is that?
Because then I have to stop talking to you.
I hate to do this, but the manager is making me ask for your ID,
So, I'll give it to you. Okay. How's that?
You should take it as a compliment.
I'm Harry. By the way, I'm definitely old enough to drink alcohol.
I'm Alice. Me too. Obviously.
Life for a single mom in Los Angeles takes an unexpected turn when she allows 3 young guys to move in with her. Home Again is rated PG-13. There are also 7 titles on this week's limited slate, and you can find those in the show notes. Next up is a look at the home entertainment slate for the week of September 5th, and I'll begin with new releases on DVD and Blu-ray, and that list begins with Morgan Leavey, a biographical war drama starring Kate Mara, Bradley Whitford, and Tom Felton. This film is based on the true life story of a young Marine corporal whose unique discipline and bond with her military combat dog saved many lives during their deployment in Iraq. Morgan Leavey is rated PG-13. Number 2 on the list is Rough Night, a comedy starring Scarlett Johansson, Kate McKinnon, and Zoe Kravitz. A male stripper ends up dead at a Miami beach house during a bachelorette party weekend. Rough Night is rated R. And number 3 on the list is All Eyes on Me, a biographical music drama starring Demetrius Shipp Jr., Dominic L. Santana, and Jamal Woolard. This story supposedly tells the true and untold story of prolific rapper, actor, poet, and activist Tupac Shakur. All Eyes on Me is rated R. Swinging by new releases on digital video, I have one title to share, and that one is The Big Sick, a romantic comedy starring Kumail Nanjiani, Zoe Kazan, and Holly Hunter. Pakistan-born comedian Kumail and American grad student Emily Gardner fall in love but struggle as their cultures clash. When Emily contracts a mysterious illness, Kumail finds himself forced to face her feisty parents, his family's expectations, and his true feelings. The Big Sick is rated R. Moving right along to TV on DVD and Blu-ray, start things there with The Flash, Season 3 from 2016, starring Grant Gustin, Candace Patton, and Danielle Panabaker. Struck by the supercharged fallout of a particle accelerator explosion, forensic scientist Barry Allen becomes the fastest man alive, The Flash. With his newfound time-warping speed and help from the Star Labs team Caitlin Snow, Silke Ramone, and Harrison Wells, and his adoptive family, Detective Joe Wist and Joe's daughter Iris, The Scarlet Speedster runs circles around other metahumans set on wreaking havoc in Central City while traveling between alternate universes and protecting our world from otherworldly threats. Last season, new dangers arrived from a parallel Earth known as Earth 2 under the direction of the evil speedster named Zoom. In Season 3, Barry faces the unknown as he irrevocably alters the timeline by saving his mother from the clutches of the Reverse Flash. The only question now is, as he wrestles with the consequences of his own Flashpoint paradox, including the wrathful speed god Savitar, will he be able to find a way out? The second TV title is Criminal Minds, Season 12 from 2016, starring Joe Mantegna, Matthew Gray Gubler, and AJ Cook. New cases, new faces. The 12th season of Criminal Minds shakes the FBI's behavioral analysis unit to its very core. Unforeseen threats lead to sudden changes in the team, beginning with the addition of Luke Alves, whose fugitive tracking skills are put to the test on day one. Emily Prentice returns from London to take over as the new unit chief, joined by Stephen Walker, a seasoned profile in her own right. Back on the case are agents David Rossi, Jennifer J.J. Jarreau, Dr. Spencer Reed, technical analyst Penelope Garcia, and Dr. Tara Lewis. As the BAU grows in number, their enemies only grow stronger. This new team must learn to work together to stop the killers, psychopaths, masterminds, hackers, abductors, and other dangerous perpetrators that await them. Number 3 on our list is Hawaii Five-O, Season 7 from 2016, starring Alex O'Loughlin, Scott Kahn, and Daniel Day Kim. The action is back. Hawaii's most elite crime-fighting task force is back for the 7th season of the action-packed crime drama. Hawaii Five-O stars Alex O'Loughlin as Lieutenant Commander Steve McGarrett, Scott Kahn as Detective Danny Dano Williams, Daniel Day Kim as Detective Chin Ho Kelly, and Grace Park as Officer Kono Kalakaua. Follow all the hard-hitting adventures of the team that cleans up the dirtiest crimes in paradise. The fourth title is Narcos, Season 2 from 2016, starring Wagner Moura, Boyd Holbrook, and Pedro Pascal. In the explosive second season of Narcos, drug lord Pablo Escobar has escaped from prison, and his freedom will have deadly consequences. As Escobar rebuilds his empire and punishes those who betrayed him, the Colombian police, the Cali cartel, and DEA agents Steve Murphy and Javier Peña target the world's most dangerous drug trafficker in a pulse-pounding manhunt that escalates into an all-out war. The final TV title is Supernatural, Season 12 from 2016, starring Jared Padalecki, Jensen Ackles, and Misha Collins. In Supernatural's 12th season, Sam and Dean Winchester are reunited with their mother, Mary Winchester, newly resurrected by the apocalyptic force known as the Darkness. But Mary Winchester is not the only family appearing this season. In addition to Lucifer being sprung from hell, he's also expecting a son. Now the Winchesters, with Castiel's help, must not only contend with Crowley, Lucifer and his spawn, and the arrival of the conniving British men of letters, who've come to complicate their hunting days, but they'll also have to relearn what it means to be a family again after all these years. I'll wrap up the home entertainment slate with Blu-rays from the past, and this week I bring you Blade Runner, a science fiction drama from 1982 coming to a 4K release, starring Harrison Ford, Rutger Hauer, and Sean Young. As 21st century detective Rick Deckard hunts for vengeful, fugitive replicants in a high-tech future soured by urban and social decay, he is drawn to a mysterious woman whose secrets may undermine his own soul. If you haven't seen it before now, this is a great opportunity to catch up before the sequel hits theaters in 1 month. Blade Runner is rated R. After this brief break for about a shameless podcast cross-promotion, the Weekly Podioplex will continue.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls.
Listen! Hey, Skywalkers, this is Richard, and over here is my sweetie wife, Sarah.
You can call me Jedi Tink.
And we are
Skywalking through Neverland.
Jimmy Mack here. When you wish upon a podcast, wish upon this podcast. These guys are awesome.
We are a fan-focused podcast that covers Star Wars, Disney, pop culture, and their fandom communities.
The stuff that surrounds us, penetrates us, and binds us all together as instantaneous friends.
What do you know?
We showcase what people are doing in the world of fandom and talk to those who are involved firsthand in the universes that we love.
This is Margaret Carey, Tinkerbell.
This is Jeremy Bullock, Boba Fett from Star Wars.
This is Steve Sansweet from Rancho Obi-Wan.
Hey, it's James Arnold Taylor, the voice of Obi-Wan Kenobi, and I happen to be skywalking through Neverland right now.
And I'm skywalking through Neverland.
And I am skywalking through Neverland. I've always hated space travel. Yeah.
Skywalking Through Neverland is the ultimate expression of fandom. You can find us on iTunes, Stitcher, YouTube, and our website, skywalkingthrough-neverland.com.
And remember, Neverland on Alderaan.
And welcome back to the Weekly Podioplex. I'm Denise with your Quick Flicks. Suicide Squad 2 being fast-tracked by Warner Brothers? Apparently terrible critic reviews won't stop the Suicide Squad from another stab at the silver screen. Previously, Mel Gibson had been in talks to helm the sequel, but with no official confirmation, it doesn't look like he'll be taking on the reins anytime soon. Guy Ritchie has also mentioned that he'd be interested in taking the role, but there has been no word on the status of that either. Harley Quinn and the Joker are reportedly going to return, as well as the main cast from the first movie. With THR reporting that the Joker and Harley Quinn movie is being developed from the Crazy Stupid Love directors Glenn Ficarra and John Recca, Warner Bros. Is looking to release Suicide Squad 2 as quickly as possible, with a filming start of 2018 as the script is currently being written. And even though Gibson is reportedly still the first choice for the studio, they're also searching for other directors to helm the project. This news comes on top of the announcement that a solo Joker movie produced by Martin Scorsese and directed by Todd Phillips was in the works outside of the DCEU. If this sounds like a cluster, it's because it is. DC needs to take a huge step back and figure out what they're doing with their extended universe before they get themselves mired in the multiverse with no way out and too many plot holes to explain away. In more DC news, Joker and Harley Quinn are getting their own movie from the Crazy Stupid Love directors. Alright, here's why I'm honestly upset by this and why I'm afraid it's going to go so very wrong so quickly. Dr. Harleen Quinzel was introduced into the Batman universe back when Batman the Animated Series was still on Saturday morning television. She is a completely original character added into Batman canon back in the 90s by Bruce Timm. She was put on the Joker's case in Arkham Asylum and proceeded to fall victim to his manipulations. Because of this, she became Harley Quinn, a woman completely lost to the Joker's dominant personality and sadistic manipulations. She was put into the show for a specific reason. Bruce Timm wanted to show a woman battered, he wanted to show the cycle of abuse, and Harley Quinn is a perfect character study of what a strong female character is. Her arc is complete when she finally stands up to the Joker with Poison Ivy's help and leaves him. It's the story of women helping women and the triumph of a woman leaving a man who has abused her for too long. Harley Quinn and Joker is not a love story, and it shouldn't be played off as one. Theirs is the visceral story of abuse, and to twist it as anything more than that is an affront to the character and everything that she is. So when THR reports that the upcoming movie starring the two titular characters will be a criminal love story, and that one source is telling THR that it will be an insane and twisted love story when Harry met Sally on Ben's dream, I get a little hot under the collar. Because making a Harley Quinn and Joker movie that shows anything but Harley finding herself through the abuse and realizing the Joker is a sadist who only cares about himself and killing off the Batman by any means necessary is both asinine and insulting. It ignores Harley's character arc, it ignores what she represents, and puts this romantic spin on an abusive relationship. As if every woman should aspire to have a Joker in her life, and that real love is a man insulting, demeaning, and degrading you. And the same could be said for women abusing men. No matter which form it comes in, abuse isn't okay, and glorifying Harley and Joker's relationship, putting it on a pedestal as something to aspire or emulate, is obscuring a conversation about toxic masculinity and abuse we should really have had a long time ago. Next, DC's live-action Teen Titans series has found its Starfire in Anna Diop. When Starfire first debuted in comics, she was usually portrayed as a comedic fish-out-of-water character that steadily evolves into a strong leader who has no problems being ruthless when needed. She's able to fly and shoot energy blasts from her hands. Diop will be joining Tegan Croft, who will be playing Raven. We're still waiting on announcements on Nightwing and Beast Boy. The show will be airing on DC's own streaming service, and it looks to premiere on DC's service sometime in 2018. The plot and the villains of the series are still unknown. And out of the superhero world and into nightmare news, Netflix's adaptation of Stephen King's 1922 gets a premiere date. 1922 is but one in a string of soon-to-be-released or currently in development adaptation of the horror master's work on both the big and the small screen. Someone tell me why Netflix didn't do an adaptation of the Dark Tower series? Seriously. It seems to me that a magnum opus of that magnitude deserved more than what 2 hours could give it. But I digress. For those who don't know, 1922 centers on Wilfred James, a farmer who brutally murders his own wife after she tires of the farm life and wants to move into the city. For various reasons, Wilfred can't allow this, so naturally killing her is his preferred option. With his wife out of the way, an increasingly unhinged Wilfred attempts to move on. Because this is a Stephen King story, things just get so much worse. Playing Wilfred is Thomas Jane and Molly Parker as his wife Arlette. Dylan Schmidt is their son Henry. Neil McDonough is Harlan, father to Shannon, Caitlin Bernard, Henry's pregnant girlfriend. 1922 hits Netflix on October 20th. And finally, a Marvel-backed VFX company is teaching VFX skills to adults with autism. VFX were some of my favorite classes in college. It's amazing what you can do with a little time and the right program. PC Mag toured the Exceptional Minds studio, discussing how the school helps the students to break into the Hollywood VFX system with executive producer Susan Zwerman, and according to Zwerman, our students learn everything they need to get to work in the VFX business. Paint wire, rod and marker removals, simple composites, rotoscoping, monitor burn-ins, simple 2D set extensions, green screen keying, camera stabilization, and title credits and 2D animation. We also teach social skills and workplace readiness. Students also get opportunities to work on major films as part of their education. One student, Eli A. Katz, has worked on Dawn of the Planet of the Apes, Captain America Civil War, and other films during the time he's been with the studio. Zwerman said that graduates at the trade school have worked on around 50 projects so far, including projects for HBO, Warner Brothers, Universal, Marvel, Disney, and 20th Century Fox. Bear in mind, the school has only been on operation for 3 years. Zwerman attributes a good part of the studio's success to a positive relationship with the executive producer at Marvel Studios, saying that it took a long time to get Hollywood interested in working with the studio. She explained, "It took a long time, but I had deep contacts within the industry, and I kept taking meetings in Hollywood, giving tours of the facilities here every Thursday to the production executives and to VFX facilities, showing them what our artists can do. Our biggest champion is Victoria Alonso, EVP Marvel. She has really opened the doors for us, not just giving us work, but connecting us with industry folks." How awesome is that? And that's it for this week's Quick Flicks. I'll see you guys next time on the Weekly Podioplex.
Thank you, Denise. And here we are once again at the end of a new edition of the Weekly Podioplex. If you want to discuss anything you heard on this week's edition, we would love to hear from you. You can surf on over to the Chronic Rift homepage at chronicrift.com and leave an audio message right there on the website using your microphone. You can also write an email or send an MP3 to weeklypodioplex@gmail.com. If 140 characters or less is more your thing, you can still tweet us on Twitter. The Chronic Rift is chronic_rift. The Weekly Podioplex is Weekly Podioplex. Denise is Riley James Keith. And I am Womprat99, like the creature who looked bullseye in his T16 in Beggars Canyon. You can give the Chronic Rift a thumbs up on Stitcher Radio, leave us a review on iTunes, and you can find the Weekly Podioplex and the Chronic Rift on Facebook. The usual disclaimer applies, of course. If you leave us feedback, you may hear your words on a future edition of the Weekly Podioplex. Take a moment, stop on by, and see what the shows the Chronic Rift Network has to offer. We have Cyborgs, a Bionic podcast, the Batcave podcast, the OSI Files podcast, the G2V podcast, Generations Geek, presenting the transcription feature, the Dan and Travis Show, the Sci-Fi Diner podcast, Doctor Who and Mr. Drew, the Home Game Show version podcast, and so much more. If you have a Roku player, you can treat it like a time machine and find us there on the Chronic Rift's Roku channel, which has episodes of the Chronic Rift's adventures in the 1990s, when it was a public access television show on the New York City airwaves. Check us out and find the culture in pop culture. If you're interested in more of my adventures, take a quick trip to my blog, Creative Criticality, where I'm watching every episode of Doctor Who for the first time from the very beginning of the franchise and reviewing those stories in the Timestamps Project. Right now, the blog is in the middle of the 20th season with the 5th Doctor. In fact, I just published Snake Dance, and those reviews can be found at creativecriticality.wordpress.com. You can also find Creative Criticality on Facebook. Denise can also be found on the internet at Accessories Not Included, where she talks about her writing, reviews books, and offers her services as a cover designer. Check her out at accessoriesnotincluded.com. If you decide to pick up any of this week's new releases, why not do it through our Amazon store? You get the newest entertainment at Amazon's low prices and high quality service, and each purchase you make at that store supports the Chronic Rift Network. Your support keeps us on the air, and we appreciate your consideration. Look for the links to our best bets and the network store in our show notes, or click the Amazon box on the website. The Weekly Podioplex is a Lucky Shot production and is produced by John S. Drew. On behalf of Denise and John, this is Michael Faulkner. Thanks for listening. Until next time, there are adventures in drama, comedy, and action, worlds to explore in the depths of film. Get some popcorn, find your favorite seat, and I'll see you at the theater.